along with you from the virtual bird safari. Now then, I'm sure it's a lot better than it was last year, guys. I remember being there last year with those muddy boots tromping in and out of everywhere. At least this year, thanks to COVID, we've got a virtual safari for you. So let's explain a little bit about it. In about a few minutes, we're going to go and have a look at the live safari from across Africa. Now, it's going to come to you from a bunch of folks out across the continent. These are game drive vehicles. Now, if anyone's been on safari before, you'll know what a game drive vehicle is. It's an open vehicle that traverses in the bush. There's a guide, the same as normal, as you'd normally sit on the back and the guide would take you around. Now, in this time, what's going to happen is we've got a camera on the back. But this doesn't mean that you can't interact with that guide. You can ask questions if you want through Twitter. You can tweet in questions, and through the show, the guides will actually tell you the hashtag and how to go about that, so I won't bore you with it now. So where are we going to go? Well, we're going to some exciting places. Right now, there's some very good stuff happening across Africa, and we're not just going to one country. We're going to go, first off, we can go to the Masai Mara in Kenya. Now, as many people might know, the Masai Mara right now is what we call a great migration is happening. 3 million wildebeest crossing the Mara Plain. And not just those 3 million wildebeest, of course, the predators like to hang around and do what predators do. So there's that element to it as well, and the crocodiles. Now, you might have seen that as well. When there's a crossing across the river, the crocodiles get quite active, eating the one time in the year that they tend to eat. We can also go down to South Africa, to Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. Now, many people might know the Sabi Sands. Sabi Sands is very good for all game viewing. It's part of the Kruger National Park. But moreover, it's leopards. Leopards are my personal favourite, something I've worked with for many years. But leopards in the Sabi Sands, we've been watching there for the last decade, in fact, probably 14 years. And we know the families, we know who comes, who goes. And the guys out there are going to try and find you some leopards, and you can have a look at them as well and learn perhaps a little bit about the lineage, where they've been and what they're doing. Where else can we go? Well, we can go to a place called Ngala. In Ngala, there's a pride of lions there, for example. And now that pride of lions have got something very curious about them. They've got 2 white lions in amongst the group. Now, the world-famous white lions were always from the Timbavati. But here, we've got 2 separate ones, and you can go, hopefully we'll get a chance to go and see them. Then we can go very close, not too far away, to Pride Lands. We're going to go there because, hopefully, the elephants are going to be swimming. Now, swimming elephants is very rare. It's sometimes something you see up in Botswana, up on the Chobe River. But here we hope to see them again in Pride Lands, and this will be quite special. But fingers crossed, folks. Nature is scripting this. We don't have a script. Nature is deciding what we go and see and where we go. So we'll jump from vehicle to vehicle as the good stuff starts to happen. We can also go down to Swalu, down in the Kalahari. Kalahari Desert, very different again. So we've gone from Kenya now, we've come down to South Africa, and now we're over in the Kalahari. And one of the stars of the show in the Kalahari is, of course, the meerkats. Many people might have seen Meerkat Manor and know about that side of things and seen meerkats doing their thing. Well, hopefully we'll get up close to some meerkats today, but we'll wait and see. The important piece, as I've already said, is this is live and interactive. It's live, so we don't have a script. So if you see various things and we jump from place to place, this is TV without a safety net. It's going to be a fantastic trip for everyone, I'm sure. And let's not forget there's a conservation element to do what we do. The conservation element is that we're not actually putting boots on the ground, but you're traveling to see these places for yourself. So sit back in your armchairs. You'll be on the back of a game drive vehicle for the next hour or longer if you wish. You can relax. You're in safe hands. Our guides have been doing this for an awful long time. You're going to enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful time, I'm sure. Remember, you can tweet in your questions at any time. Please have a great safari. I look forward to seeing you all at next year's Birdfair. Good luck, folks. Enjoy your safari.
Jambo, and hello, a very good afternoon from the Masai Mara of Kenya. And just look what we have to start our drive this afternoon. I've been counting here for the last minute I've been here, and I think I've counted almost 10,145 and a half wildebeest. So very many of these animals, and what you're watching now is the very famous migration. Walking across the savannah, one of the main habitats of the Masai Mara, and to all of you, another very good afternoon. Jambo, my name is David, and with me on camera is Bungay. Bungay, how are you, sir? And Bungay cannot stop playing with the camera because he is very excited to see this, just like me. Let's have a quick look of these huge numbers of these animals, and maybe you might help me count how many we got. And just listen to them for a couple of seconds. That is the sound you'll keep hearing during the migration. Even for us, when we sleep, we hear new, new, new. And remember, we are coming to you live and would like to interact with you. And you can do so by sending us comments or questions. You can tweet using hashtag WildEarth or at FC in the comment section of the YouTube chat channels. For the youngsters, should you want to do the same, you can email us kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Very good temperatures we got this afternoon in the Mara. 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. When they walk, they'll always make like a single file. And once they start moving, they do not stop. I've been here for the last 15-20 minutes, and this is what I've been seeing. I don't think I'm going anywhere because this is something that gives me joy to watch these animals, and I'm remaining here a few more minutes.
Hello there, and a very warm welcome to And Beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. Myself and Craig are sitting here with some lions. My name is Damon, and as I said, behind the camera is Craig. And we've come to a pretty different area that we haven't been able to show you very much in the past. And like I said, there's a pride of lions lying just behind me. 3 lionesses and 5 cubs. And is that not just the most magnificent scenery behind them? Have a look at that big shadow that they're lying in. Pretty much the only shade out here on these plains. And look at how all of those lionesses, look on the far right, those 2 lionesses there, and then the cubs on the far left, all lying down fast asleep. Some of them with their bellies exposed. Look at that little cub there. Almost like a butterflied chicken with its legs out. And look at how fast that belly is heaving up and down. Oh my goodness. If it wasn't for that rising and falling belly, you'd think it was dead. Those full tummies, and there's a little flicking tail. A sure sign that these lions have had a good meal. Not far from us, there is what was once quite a big and impressive wildebeest bull that these lionesses managed to bring down sometime early this morning. I'll let Craig show that to you quickly. Unfortunately, the tracker seat is in the way, but there's the carcass. The lions have all but finished. Not very much meat left there. So these lionesses have done well in bringing down that big wildebeest. Of course, a big animal like that will provide more than enough food for the 5 cubs and then for themselves as well, and affording them the opportunity to rest like this. Now, it's been quite interesting because, of course, with this carcass being here, the smell, the wind blowing over it, and there you go, one of the lionesses is up, just repositioning a little bit, looking for maybe a bit of privacy away from all the cubs, a bit of comfort. As I said, with the wind blowing, it'll be carrying the smell of this carcass all over these plains, and already we've seen a side-striped jackal moving in, following the scent. But once it saw the lions, it very quickly turned around and moved the other way. There have also been a couple of birds of prey that feed on carrion, things like yellow-billed kites, bataliers that have been flying overhead. Rosalind, you're asking how much did these lions eat? Well, Rosalind, the kind of general figure that gets thrown around is that a lion can eat about 10% of its body weight in a sitting. So for one of those big lionesses there that could weigh about 150 kilograms, Rosalind, that means that each one of these lionesses could have put away 15 kilograms of meat. So between the lionesses, there's already close to 50 kilograms, plus all the cubs. So yeah, that's a good amount of meat that they've taken in. And as they lie there and digest, they'll make a bit of space in their tummies. And I think a little bit later this evening, once it's cooled off, these lions might even get to go, or will probably go back to the carcass and feed once more.
I've switched. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Chitwa, where it is a wonderful afternoon of sunshine. And good afternoon. Oh, it's very bright. My name is Steve, joined by Theo Island-style camera, and we are very excited to see you in the sunshine. And, well, we're going to do a spot of birding this afternoon. We're going to start off with an hour of birding, just to focus on it, because tomorrow afternoon, Trishal and I are going to be having a head-to-head birding competition. How does that sound? I think that sounds wonderful. So we've come all the way to Chitwa to find you some wonderful birds, and, well, we've got some starlings and hornbills on the floor. So we came all the way to the watering hole to get some terrestrial birds. So anyway, that is what it is. Oh, there's a dove at the back there, some starlings, and a dove right up at the top behind the starling. There's a Birchall's starlings running around, looking very shimmering in this light. You notice they don't have a orange eye, a very dark eye, and the tail is actually quite long. I can hear a greater blue-eared starling, but I cannot see one. In Chitwa specifically, how many bird species? Well, we could probably get anywhere from 340 to maybe 360 birds in this area. Whether we will get that in an afternoon is probably quite doubtful. But in this sort of region of the Lowveld, we can get anywhere up to 340, 350 birds. And that is in the height of the rainy season. So right now, most of the birds have dwindled down. So we're looking to get a lot of the common species. Probably on a good day at Chitwa, if you spend enough time here around the watering hole, probably get at least 20, 30 birds quite easily. You should be able to anyway. If some of the aquatic birds will come out. Right now we've got a southern red-billed hornbill. He's hopping. A little Birchall's starling. See how long the tail is? You might not think it's that long, but when you see the greater blue-eared starling, you'll notice the tail is much shorter. These guys are all enjoying any insects that have been pushed out from the rain last night. And I'm no doubt in this jackleberry tree. There is one. Theo, I don't know if you're going to get it, but there's an African green pigeon in this tree here. No, to the left. You can actually see them on the far left there. Yeah, that branch down. Yes, in there. Let's just move around in the branches. Just a little bit more to the right. We should see some movement shortly. I saw one before. You can see the movement in the background there. That, I think, far left. What is it? That is my rendition of the African green pigeon. Oh, there we go. Right in the front here, you can actually see the green. A little bit up. No, left. And and middle of frame. There we go, a little bit more left. You can see the green. There he is. Oh, hello, green pigeon. They're enjoying the wonderful jackalberry fruits.
Maybe a new one to a few people for their bird list.
We have got an issue with our radio here. I don't know why. It is coming through the radio. Turn that right off. So that could be a new one for some of you. The African green pigeon, they are a frugivore. Frugivores are birds that eat... Oh, here in the front there, in the front, African grey hornbill. Just here, right in the... Yes, up. Up a little bit more. A little bit more. And left. Up a little bit more slowly. Sorry, man. A little bit more up. Sorry, I'm not being very good at directing you today. I actually have no idea where you are anymore. Here he goes. You see him flying? Little bit more left. He's jumping around. Anyway, there is an African grey hornbill in there, everybody, and we're going to focus on some birds this half hour to give her a precursor to tomorrow afternoon's challenge.
Well, Steve, keep moving, keep looking for birds, because there are certain days you might go out and you feel you just want to do birding, and they're always very entertaining. Now, believe me, you were with me here yesterday. Oh, sorry, not yesterday. Yes, a few minutes ago. And you remember what you saw on our screen here is the same thing that is still happening. So try to imagine the number I gave you has increased maybe by another 5%. They have not stopped crossing, they have not stopped walking. I'm in the same spot I was, and just look in the background there. Timothy would like to know how far they travel in a day. It's very difficult, Timothy, to tell. There's certain times you might get them in one spot the whole day and they don't go anywhere. But there are times, Timothy, these beasts can go a comfortable 20 kilometers in one day. 20 kilometers. I'm talking of 15 or so miles in one single day, and moving. And they got different paces, Timothy. The times they'll choose to walk. But should the lead group, for example, the cluster that's in front of the main herd, decide we need to run, or they see something that spooks them and think, oh, that was a lion, or that was a cheetah, that was a leopard, if that lead group or the head group decide to run, everybody will run, including the tail group. So it really matters. But just to give you an idea, for them, Timothy, when they do the whole cycle of the migration, which continues all around the year non-stop, it comes to about 1,800 or so miles in every cycle, which is annually close to 2,800 miles. Kilometers. That's every year, non-stop. So there's certain days they cover longer distances. There's certain days they don't cover as much ground. So the big message is put your head down and move. Staying together is their strength. It's like one huge animal made of small pieces of body parts. So all the dry grass you see there is what was the red oat grass until they got here. So with the times you'll see them moving clockwise, the times you see them going anti-clockwise, the times they might move a whole 10 kilometers and then just backtrack the same distance, if not more. Just listen to them. Rick is the leader of this group. Yes and no. Unlike other animals that you've been able to follow and identify, I would say that wildebeest do not have a leader per se, but they have small tribes among them. They have small democracies among them. So a particular group may decide, guys, let's go. That group will call it, we may call that group the leader. But there's not an individual leader, like when you say the buffaloes sometimes you get a one female leader, which might control and manage and make decisions for the herd in whatever direction to go, when to move, when to stop. I would say for the wildebeest, it's small little groups that will always make the decision. And then the rest of them will just follow suit. And if you look at them carefully, the heads kind of slant down, and to me that gives them a good momentum to keep them going, or covering long distances without getting tired. I think I'm going to about half an hour since I've been here, and I can tell the file spread all the way down, and Bunge, who is on camera, will give you an idea of how far we can see them from where we are. At times they look at them like small little ants. We've got some ants here in Kenya that we call safari ants, and this is the way you'll see them moving. But it's a different ballgame when it comes to ants, unlike the wildebeest, because the ants, if you're very close, they're gonna bite you. I've really enjoyed, I've been thrilled watching these wildebeest here, and I better find out maybe what direction they're going. Who knows, maybe close to the river, if not today, tomorrow, and I'll be with them.
Look at this. We have a lovely herd of elephants. They're moving a little bit like a school of fish. They're huddled very closely together as if something is making them a little bit unhappy. And they're zigzagging, which means that I had to move around quite a little bit. There's quite a number of them. Very cool. Hi everyone, it's Beatrice Shall, and I've got BK on camera this wonderful warm afternoon in Juba. BK doesn't want to show you his thumb too much because we've been changing a tire that has made our hands dirty. But he cares about what his thumb looks like on camera. So these elephants are very, very cautious. But still feeding. So I wonder if there's a little herd issue. What we call maybe a domestic case going on in this herd. Whatever it is, I'm going to stick around with them and, of course, see if there's any birds following them.
A warm welcome to all our viewers. We're currently at Ambion in Gala, and I'm Nikki, your ranger this afternoon, with Gert on the camera. Now, we have found some very interesting animals. So I'm just going to move to a little gap right here in front and show everyone what we are looking at the moment. So Gert and I are going to try and work together here, but I'll stop right there. There we go. Just look at the white tip at the end of the tail. You'll notice the brown, bit of white and black, and those big round cup-like ears. So it's the African wild dog. So there's quite a few that are here now. Based on what I heard from some of the rangers, apparently they are pups with these wild dogs. Imagine if we can see them. Looks like they've gone and lied down in an area where it's hard to see them because of the termite mound. But if we give it some time, we might be rewarded with some of those youngsters moving out. You know how exciting this is? Because I can't remember the last time I saw young wild dog pups and things. I haven't seen them now, but I can hear something. So I'd love to show our viewers maybe what we can do is try and see if we can reposition the vehicle. Imagine if we can just find those young pups as we try. So I'm going to move slightly forward. Bear with me as we do this. Oh, here they are. No way. Look at these little pups right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly 10, 11 wild dog pups. This is incredible. You can just see how curious they are. They probably haven't seen a vehicle before. Look at how they're lifting their heads, trying to figure out exactly what this is. You'll notice because of them being young and very curious, also sometimes what they do is as they move, they'll just bite the grass, or maybe even they'll find like a little branch or twig somewhere and they'll give that a bite. So now it's a good opportunity just to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pups. So what we want to do here, what's really important for us going forward, is we don't want these pups to get used to trying to get under the vehicle or anything like that. If they get too close, what I might just do is start the vehicle, and that's just to tell them, listen, just move off a little bit because we feel uncomfortable with being this close. And all we're trying to do is protect them, because we don't want to make them that used to the vehicle. At least they know to keep that little distance. But have a look, there's one, or there's a couple off to the right that picked up a stick. Love our guide. So normally with the pups, they are around about at this age when they start moving with the rest of the pack. So that would be anywhere around 3.5, 4 months. So these ones, just based on their color and also based on their size, they've already left the den. So probably 4, maybe even 4.5 months old. But they're not 6 or 7 months old. They still need to grow quite a bit. But this is so special. I mean, for me as a ranger, this is not something that I see every day. And to be able to spend time like this and see the interaction and see how these youngsters will maneuver around, because you can see they're curious, so they don't want to get too close, but also they don't want to move further away. They're quite intrigued of what is this big form that's nearby. It's pretty amazing that even though they probably haven't seen too many vehicles before, that they don't see us as a threat at all. I agree with all of you. They are super cute. Just look at that one right in the middle at the back. There's like the sticks. I don't know if it's attached or if he placed it there, but have a look at how he's just very playful with that stick. Like he'll grab it, move it a little bit. Oh, no, he's just already had enough. Matt, I'm not too sure what the name would be for this particular pack. To be honest, with the numbers of the adults that are here, it is a pack that we've only recently started seeing. And from the knowledge of most of the rangers that we've asked, especially those that have been here for quite a few years, and some of the trackers haven't even identified these. So it might be a new pack that has moved into the area, but I'm not too sure. And I've also not seen the rest of the adults to be able to say which ones they might be. All these are having a little tug of war. can just imagine how quick these little ones must be, because look at how, in comparison to their body, how long their legs are. And just imagine also if this pack had to start running, and they can run up to 65 or 56 kilometers an hour. Often what will happen is when they do hunt, there will be one that will look after the young pups, or one or two that will look after them. But imagine if they do move fast distances, these pups need to be able to keep up. Not necessarily saying that they'll be able to run like close to those speeds, but I'm sure they'll get pretty close.
Too cute indeed. Here we have a lilac-breasted roller. It's actually been scouting out the elephants as they've been moving through. The elephants are still close by, but you'll find that close in tow would be a lilac-breasted rollers, fork-tailed drongos, as well as a few starlings, all after little insects that they're flushing out. The roller is my favorite one that hangs about as they move. Although I must say I love the starlings too. Stunning colors. Getting a little bit seasick on that branch, I suspect. But you can see how the head stays very still and the rest of the body moves to compensate for that movement, so that the things that are in view, that the eyes don't have to constantly adjust to it. So instead, it tries to keep the head very still and only move that at the last moment. That's why you find that birds will bob their heads, or they look like they're bobbing their heads as they walk about. It's calling. So what I was saying is, as they walk, it's not their heads that are bobbing, it's actually their bodies that are moving quicker. So they're moving their heads at the last moment, which makes it look like their heads are bobbing. But in fact, it's their body that's moving more than the heads. What noise do they make, or what sound do they make? I got that question. You would have just heard it. Roy. Hello, Roy. Good afternoon. You asked what sound it makes. I'm very bad at bird calls, at making them. I'm okay at recognizing them, but making them, not good. But lilac-breasted roller I can make, because the call is really not as pretty as the bird is. And it goes... That's my game drive radio, not part of the call. It was making it a little bit earlier. We can just be quiet for a bit. Listen. That was it. There's another one on the ground that just caught something. So did you hear that? It made a... Another one here. Two lovely lilac-breasted rollers in a marula tree. Now, those elephants look like they're going down to the dam, and I want to be there when they get there so I can watch them play in the water. One of my favorite things to do out here.
Well, I'll first and foremost acknowledge Trishala for having spotted my favorite bird, which is the national bird of Kenya. Well, I'm not doing birding this afternoon. I thought I'd leave the wildebeest because there are so many and show you one of the enemies of those animals we were watching earlier. And this is a Nile crocodile. Look at her very carefully, and you see she's either having a snooze, her mouth shut, but if you look, you can see some white specks, from the mouth, and those are her teeth. And I'm sure my staff mentioned this a few times, and all the other naturalists, that one of the major differences between alligators and crocodiles is when the crocodiles shut their mouth, you can see their teeth, whereas the alligators, you do not see a single tooth. We call them sometimes semi-aquatic because they are either half in water, half out of water. It's not very cold now, so she's just there enjoying the warmth from the soil there. That's the Mara River. She doesn't live alone. We got other friends of hers there, and these are the hippos. Hippopotamus. But rarely you'll see one. In general, hippos will be anything from 2 to 5, 10, and not sure who is that on the back of the hippo. Whether it's a wagtail, that's my guess. Oops. And my guess that could be the African pied wagtail. She wasn't very impressed by having her on the back. And other birds that we see on hippos are oxpeckers, but while outside the water. Now that one was, on the hippo inside the water, and my guess is that was the African pied wagtail. So named because of how they keep wagging their tails. You saw how she was behaving. So this hippo, if you look carefully, the nostrils and the eyes are above the water. She needs to see what is happening outside her world, and of course she needs to get lots of oxygen. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the water falling of the Mara River. He's a big bull. I will let him, my guess is a bull because of the size, but that's a guess. I will leave him resting there, and I'm going to move on.
It's incredible. These puppies are playing the whole time. Like the adults are off to the left here. They're conserving all their energy. But of course the puppies know that even if they do make a kill, they'll probably bring back some of the food for them. So they're not going to be missing out on anything. Just notice at the back there, there's two having a little tussle with one another. This one's tail's bothering him and trying to take off his own tail. So you can there's barely any noise around. If you do hear some noises, it might just be the crackling of the grass, or maybe crushing of leaves, as some of the adults are just left of us moving in the tall grass. But where the youngsters are, in the, like that one lying down in the sand there, you can't hear anything. They're just so soft and gentle in their movements. But even look at the size of the ears, especially of these youngsters. It almost looks like they still need to grow into those ears. Lisa, they don't. So with wild dogs, they have this hoop sound. It sounds like an owl, like whenever they are separated from one another. The other thing they do is they have this, whenever they build up excitement with one another, especially prior to a hunt, they have this high squeak noise, which I can't really make, but it's like, it sounds, like hyenas whenever they when they laugh. But imagine if you had to put that in a high squeak and you had to put a bit more excitement with it. That's what they basically do. And then from there on, they initiate the hunt. But they don't bark like a dog. There might be an alarm bark. So if there's a sudden danger, it might be one bark, which is to warn everyone and then run off from there, but not like a domesticated dog that will repeatedly bark at any potential threat. And I'd like to encourage the viewers, with wild dogs, if you have any questions, or maybe some of our viewers have probably been traveling to quite a few places that had interactions with wild dogs, and I would like to hear some of the experiences, as well as if there's some questions. For me, I might know some of the answers. Chances are there's a lot of answers that I don't know, but it's so nice to be able to learn from one another as we are watching them. So these pups are all from the same litter. Imagine as a mum carrying 11 pups. Now there is one that's moving off here, that's coming off from the left here. Now it might just be one of the caretakers, just to come to have a look and see that the youngsters aren't up to a lot of mischief of moving away. Why I'm saying it's probably one of the caretakers, not the mother, is because if you look under the belly, it doesn't look like the teeth are swollen. If it was the mother, it would probably still have been a bit swollen. You could have seen where the puppies would have suckled. Just listen to the noise. So that's the high pitch we were talking about. Interesting is that behavior. I wonder initially why that wild dog did that. Was that just to bring the youngsters back into place? Is it like to gather them again? Was it just to show, okay, listen, you guys need to come back a little bit closer? I'm not too sure what that behavior was, but it was very interesting to watch. And now immediately after that, moving off. Shelley, based on my knowledge, wild dogs are only in Africa. So they've been part of the African continent for thousands and thousands of years, and never really been able to domesticate them as well. And the other thing about what makes them a bit different in comparison to something like a domesticated dog is also with the pads. So if you look at a dog, you'll have the 4 pads, or let's say 4 toes, and then just at the back of the leg, you'll find another pad. With the wild dogs, that's absent in the front. So it's very interesting, and of course, they've just no records of them being able to domesticate them like domesticated dogs. There's just always been part of this African ecosystem. And the one thing about wild dogs that I always admire is the amount of energy that they always show, especially with the youngsters. But even the adults, whenever they do move, they can move for pretty vast distances. And even if they run, I've seen them quite a few times whenever they hunt, they will run up to 56 kilometers an hour, where you can't really keep up with a vehicle. And then at stages, some individuals will sprint after their prey, and as soon as they tire out, they'll fall back, and the next lot will sprint again. And by doing that, they they work like this relay team in order to take down their prey. It's pretty amazing to see. And I also enjoy the colors. I mean, look at this wild dog right in the middle of the screen, this little pup. And you'll notice that every single wild dog has a different pattern. This one might have a bit more white than the others might have a little bit more brown. But you'll notice that there's a very prominent black stripe over this one's tail. And even the back right foot, it looks like a triangle with a little black dot in it. Can't see it now because of the way this one's maneuvered. Looks like the head, ears, and mouth and feet are too big for the body.
Welcome back to Ambient Pinder, where this pride of lions that we're with is still taking it easy in the shade. Oh, look at that little tender moment between mother and cub. And a big yawn. And good to see that these cubs are starting to move around a little bit. We said that maybe a little bit later, once it cooled off, that these lions would start to move around a bit, maybe come back to the carcass for a bit more to eat. Lots of yawning. And kind of moving around, trying to get comfortable. Just imagine for these little cubs with those fat bellies full of meat, how uncomfortable it must be in this intense sunlight. There, as Craig zooms out, look at the magnificent scene behind them. Those rolling plains off into the valley, and then the woodlands on the mountains. Absolutely breathtaking. And just a few minutes ago, we actually saw way down there in the valley, we saw one of the dominant male lions of this area appear out of a thicket. And he's currently lying down there somewhere out of view. Can't quite see him for now. He's laying flat down there. And we were hoping that he would spot these lions and maybe come in to investigate the carcass, seeing as there is so much meat here still. It appears, though, that he didn't notice them. The wind is blowing in the wrong direction for him to smell the meat. And also with these lions lying relatively still, with now the exception of these cubs moving around a bit in the shade, it was unlikely that he would have spotted them unless one of them had stood up rapidly. Now it looks like all the lions have all sat up and are all now looking down into the valley. See all of them with their ears pricked, all looking down the bottom there? That's exactly where that male lion went. So like I said, the wind is blowing from him towards these lions, so they will be able to smell him and not the other way around. So they've maybe caught his scent and they're just wanting to get more information about this lion. If they'll be able to smell him, but they'll want to be able to see him as well. Make sure that he is one of the males that they know and not a new male that would be a threat to the cubs. But they seem pretty relaxed for now. A little cub getting up there and stretching. Ryan, you're asking a very interesting question, and a question that's difficult to quantify. You're asking how far can a lion, or how far away can a lion smell something? And Ryan, that will depend on the strength of the smell. So a rotting carcass as opposed to a relatively fresh carcass, the strength of the wind, as well as the topography of the landscape. So if for example, the smell is coming from a source in a very open plain like this, where that wind can dissipate the smell over quite a wide area, it might mean that the lion will be less able to smell it from a further distance away, whereas if the wind is blowing down a narrow valley, then that scent will travel further. Also, obviously, the stronger the wind, the further the smell will carry. So, Ryan, a couple of kilometers, it's possible for a lion to smell a carcass. Possible that a lion could smell a carcass from a couple of kilometers away. And in fact, I'm just going to ask Craig to zoom up quickly just to give you an idea. So if we pan to the right, you can see there in the middle of the plains there's that kind of thicket of trees, almost looks like an island of trees in the middle of the plains. And then just off to the right, there's a couple of prominent hillsides. And apparently I heard a story about a male lion that smelled a carcass all the way from up on those hills down in the plains because the wind was blowing in the right direction.
They just got a wonderful walk by the herd. They're moving straight towards the dam. When the herd suddenly split, they're a little bit concerned about something. I suspect there may be the smell of a predator in the air. Everyone's sticking very close together with the calves in the middle. Everyone's staying still. They're chatting to each other. Possibly chatting to the other part of their herd that they split from. Look how close they are. Very brave youngster there. You can hear their rumbles. Everyone is silent. At least to our range of hearing. So they'll be communicating to each other, and then they'll all start moving again suddenly. They'll be deciding, are we going to go down to drink? Is it safe? What can we smell? So many things to talk about. If only we could hear them.
I hope Casti in the final control is going to thank Trishala for me, because she's just doing the right things this afternoon. She saw my favorite bird, and now she got my favorite mammo in Africa, elephants. Well done, Trishala. Now, I'm talking language of birds matters now, because on your screen there, you got some Egyptian geese, and you got some goslings. I've been following these goslings for quite some time, and if I'm not wrong, they are 8. We'll count them together. Help me just count. Sometimes you viewers see better than us. As much as we're here, we have our monitors to look at. Sometimes we look and you're like, oh, there's 6, there's 7. Just count them for me and give me an answer. How many do you think they are? You can tweet #WorldEarth. Tell me, how many goslings can you see there? We need to account for all of them. Some of the major challenges they face are big raptors, big birds of prey, like the martial eagle, tawny eagle, sometimes snakes, monitor lizards. If there could be a croc there and there's an opportunity, they've been known to catch them. But once in a while, if you've seen goslings and you study the particular number, then you notice them going down one after the other. Very good. Well done. 8, and that means all of them are accounted for. I want to thank you very much for counting 8, and that gives me a lot of joy. I had also counted 8, but wanted to be sure. But Alan, many thanks. 8 is the number, and this is the number I started it with last week. Now, we got some other bird here. Alan and all of you, I would want first to give you a small little quiz again, and you tell me, who do you think she is? I'm saying a she, because I know for a fact it's a she, because she got some 2 chicks. Not where she is, but which species or which bird is this? Again, #WorldEarth. You can tweet and you tell me, who do you think that is? Not sure saying that she helps, but I'm saying that she because if you look carefully now, you might see some two chicks jumping up and down in the water. Very good work there, Bungay. Bungay is on camera this afternoon. Look at them. Apparently, the goslings we saw and this particular bird that I'm still waiting for your answer have been in this particular spot every other time I've taken this road. And that tells us that the geese... Samantha, you say blacksmith lapwing. Samantha, I'll give you an 8 out of 10 for saying a lapwing. I want someone else to complete the 2 that's remaining. But blacksmith lapwing, I'll give you an 8 out of 10. So the 2 means you're very, very close, Samantha. And what I was saying earlier is that the goslings or the Egyptian geese, what happened there, and this lapwing here, at least we know it's a lapwing, live here permanently, and that translates to that these birds are very territorial. So one has been left, and of the 2 chicks, one is always coming up and down. Tessamath, you say it's a spur-winged lapwing, and you get the 10 out of 10, and very well done. Very well done, all of you. It's a spur-winged lapwing. And I've always known they're territorial, but I can now tell on my own just some of the information we read in books. But when we follow them in the field, we know better. So one chick ran very quickly, came to the mother, and my guess is the 2 of them are different. One could be a male and the other could be a female, but the male is always left eating, playing. I'm just guessing, but one keeps coming to mama every time. Well, keep the one with you warm because they'll be moving on now.
Look, we have a brown-hooded kingfisher with the elephants just behind it. How amazing is that? They've gone up to drink at the pan instead of down at the dam. They're very, very picky drinkers. They've decided that the pan water is a little bit better than the dam. Awesome. Love to get 2 animals in shot. And of course the kingfisher is much closer, so it's not as big as little elephant calf. Yeah, Cape Turtle Dove. Oh, down the kingfisher goes. Now you can see the elephants. Look how close they are. Very, very close. Maybe they'll come down to the dam now. Something is bothering them, and I need to find out what it is. Look at that. That's moving very fast. The lodge is close by, so perhaps they heard some people. But it wouldn't solicit this kind of reaction. Just have the blacksmith lapwing flying over them. So they've been this way since we first saw them on the top of this rise on quarantine. is walking very, very fast. I'd call this running now. Look at that stiff tails. They are not happy. Something is around you, and I'm going to find out what is happening.
Just have a look at this one off to the right. I don't know if it's a stick or if it was chewing a stone, but it was just chewing something the whole time. But the one just left of it, notice how tired it is. It was trying to keep its head up, but eventually, well, now there's a bit of more excitement. But it was trying to keep its head up, but eventually couldn't hold it anymore. Now there's a few that have moved and all decided to lie down in a huddle there. There's just one under the tree at the moment. Oh, and this one might also decide just to move a little bit closer. There's another one that's crossing the road from the right to the left. So he's been by himself off to the right. Now that one in the back of the screen, there was some movement in the grass earlier, and it was running to try and see what made that movement. Maybe there was a mouse, maybe a little insect or something that moved, but it was trying to catch it. Unfortunately, no luck, and eventually decided to give up. But he's still out on his little patrol. Of course, he can't venture too far off because then the adults will have to call him back. Looks very comfortable in that little, where that group has settled themselves.
Welcome back to Ambion Pinda. You've joined us just at the right time. This one adult lioness and the cubs have all gotten up and have moved back to the wildebeest and have started to feed once more. And there's already quite a bit of competition going on. The cubs are growling and snarling at each other. Can you hear that, everyone? There's a constant throaty growl coming from one of the little cubs. They look so adorable and cute until they start making these noises and they sound like adult lions. It's quite disconcerting. But look at how they've all moved back into the carcass there. That lioness working her way around her youngsters. The cubs have all kind of taken up their own spots on the carcass. Luckily there's so much meat there that they can kind of spread out a little bit. But even then very protective of their little piece of the carcass and reminding their neighbors that this is their little cut. Don't come near it. I'm eating here. Incredible to see, even at this young age, these little cubs, even though they look so cute and cuddly, they're already having to fight for their place at the dinner table, so to speak. And that's preparing them for life in a lion pride. Very different to the wild dogs you've been seeing with Nikki over in Gala, where there's quite a bit of sharing that happens at a lion kill. It's every lion for itself. And the mother will even compete with her cubs to get enough food to eat. Ooh. Listen to all that snarling. And have a look at this cub that's closest to us, everybody. Look at the back of its head, and look at how its ears are pressed flat back against its head in that aggressive pose. Those black spots on the backs of the ears facing forward are warning to other lions. This is my piece of the carcass. Don't come here. Mom, stop trying to steal my meat. The lioness, not taking heed of its warning and continuing to feed right next to him. Ooh, listen to all the growling. It almost looks like this poor lioness is trying to gingerly tiptoe around the carcass, trying to avoid the wrath of her offspring. But for the time being, with her, I mean, her, like we said earlier, we saw earlier how full her tummy was and how full the cubs' tummies were, so she's not being super aggressive around the carcass. She's already got quite a bit of food in her belly, so there's no need for her to be super aggressive with her youngsters. Earlier this morning, when they were feeding, when they'd first killed this wildebeest, was a much different story. Obviously, every lion really hungry and really wanting to fill its belly. Now things are a little bit more relaxed, with just the odd little flare-up of growls. Look on the far right of the carcass there, everybody. Look at those two cubs that are starting to feed there, side by side, on the ribs. Carol, you're saying that the cubs' growling sounds are so intimidating. Carol, absolutely. I mean, look at them now. If you couldn't hear anything, you'd think, oh, they're so adorable and precious. And I mean, they look about the size where you would maybe think about wanting to go and scoop one up and give it a cuddle. But when you hear it making that sound, my goodness. Very intimidating. And also amazing how tough these little lion cubs are, even at this age. We've often seen them getting clobbered by other lionesses, in the fray while they're busy feeding. Look now, the lioness using her strength and her bigger jaws, her stronger teeth to open new parts of the carcass, and the cub's taking full advantage of that. Look at the cub on the left, how it's starting to try and climb, almost sticking its head way inside the carcass, trying to get to the new little bits of meat. Like we said earlier, quite a big animal, this wildebeest bull, and there's still, even after 3 adult lionesses and 5 cubs have filled their bellies on it, there's still quite a bit of food to go around. And so myself and Craig are going to sit here and watch for a bit longer to see what happens.
Well, I suppose I better say good afternoon from Pridelands. We have got one of my favourite enormous animals. He goes by the name of Kumo. Now, if only we could find the rest of our favourite elephants, but they seem to be elsewhere. I wonder when they will return. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today, as every day, is Sebastian. I was just going to say, since I've been back, he's only been on camera with me. Anyway, so we're just sitting here. We've actually done a big loop around the perimeter of Pridelands already, just trying to see if any predators have walked on in. Sadly, no luck just yet. So then we've come all the way back up to sort of the southwest, and, well, Mr. Kumo and his friends that like to follow him around are here. It looks like they've maybe already had a drink. Maybe during the day they've been to Ndlovu Dam. I didn't see them, but I did hear some splashing around. So I don't think we'll get any water action from the elephants. Well, from these elephants anyways. But it's completely oblivious to us as he normally is, and just enjoying his afternoon. That's quite an interesting angle, Sebastian. I quite like it. It's not often you get to see the underside of an elephant's trunk. It's quite cool, actually. Look at all those muscles. Now, I believe all of you are commenting, saying that we just need Susan, who is one of my favorite little cheeky elephants. But I don't know where she is. I mean, I don't know. I searched. That's what we did. We spent about 30 minutes driving up on the northwestern boundary searching for Susan's herd, because that's where they normally like to hang around. Then we sat at Leopard Dam for about 15 minutes hoping that we'd hear some branches snapping or something. Absolutely nothing. So there's no elephants in that area. I don't know where she is. I suspect that they've probably gone into Jajani, which is just north of our traverse, and I'm hoping that she does make her way back here. But remember, we were saying it's actually quite unusual to see the same breeding herds all the time, because if you think about it, let's talk about Fang, and she's obviously a very well-known elephant in the Sabi Sand, where she's got an unusual tusk that curves on back. We don't see her all the time. You know, maybe once every few months, if we're lucky, she pops on by. So I suppose it's normal for the elephants to move far out in search of better food and grazing and browsing, and then of course water sources. Water there definitely is on Pridelands, and then I think the food is quite good here because this area hasn't been browsed and grazed by elephants for a very long time. So there's only been a few years that the fences have been dropped to the greater Kruger ecosystem. But it seems as like they've gone somewhere else, which is a pity because I quite enjoy them. But I am glad that Kumo is still here. And I think that Elephants Alive, the conservation initiative that does study the elephants, is quite happy that we are still seeing Kumo, even though he has lost his collar. I'm not sure if they're going to put it back on him again, maybe at some point. But I'd like to try and find that out. It'd be amazing to be a part of that experience. Again, it's invaluable being able to collect data like that of these animals. It just gives us a better understanding of what they do and where they go. But there's lots of Ellie bulls around. It's not uncommon for elephants to follow a big bull like this, youngsters. And for a few times that I've seen him since I've been back, he's been on his own. But his gang has found him again, and now he will be followed by at least 5 or 6 other elephants.
Elephants in a day is a good day. Well, I have continued enjoying seeing or watching birds today, like Steve was doing earlier. And I've got 2 species of birds there. I don't know what is in my mind today, and I'm just thinking of asking questions. Just tell me, what 2 species are there? The 2 on your left of the screen are definitely the same. One is a little older than the other, or the one in the middle is immature, but the one on the right is definitely a different species. Now, tell me, we start with the one on the right. What species is that? And the 2 on the left, who are they? Look at their feeding habit. They walk very slowly, and what they do, they use their feet to disturb the water or move the water, and in the process they'll pick what they want to. You have gone before we identified you, but I'm sure all of you will have known who that was. And then once they decide on, once they pick, let me say their feet go like sensors, and they step on something. First answer correct, and most of you are saying sacred ibis. Very good. 10 out of 10 for all of you. Sacred ibis. Now, who do we got on the screen now? So the feet got something like sensors, and they step in the water, and if they pick any movement, they definitely tell there is some sort of invertebrate there, and that's what they're looking for. And then they use their beaks like spears just to like put them in and grab or kill whatever it is, and then pick it up with the beak and swallow it. That's how they feed. Who are these? Hashtag Wild Earth on tweet. Wait and watch. Very good name, and you are right. This is the yellow-billed stock. Perfect. Very good. 10 out of 10. Now, wait and watch. You look carefully. They got different colors, or the feathers look slightly different because the one on the left is juvenile. I'm not sure she's catching up very quickly on how to feed, and you can also tell the beak is not as brightly yellow like the one. I'm not sure that's the mother or who it is, but it shows huge difference because of their ages. So they hold on, put the feet in the ground, wait for them to sense something. You see the young one, the feet or the legs are not as pink as the older one. And got a frog there, yes, I think, yeah, she got herself something there. Anything that could be in there, worms, frogs, crustaceans of some sort, that's all what they'll feed on. Fish, if they get any, but anything in the water. Small little snakes that like could be in there, but they're always very big. And unlike the herons will wait before they disturb the water, but you look at these ones carefully, they keep pushing their legs just to disturb the water, and whoever is under there will want to get to a safer area, and that's how they'll feed. A great light. And very quickly, whatever they catch, more often than not, they do not even have to kill it. Sometimes just go straight to the tummy. Well done, yellow-billed stock. Wait and watch for the right answer. I will leave these stocks here and telling them bon appetit.
Hello and good evening or good afternoon. It's me again here, Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. It's rather chilly. We've been out looking for different things, and we're back at the river, and we have found one big hippo. It is really beautiful here, calm, no inhabitants of crossing like the wildebeest, but we do have the hippos, and that guy is resting there with his friend behind him. I think there is a small, either beach or underwater there, but they can stand. Remember, this is the Mara River, and it cuts through the beautiful Masai Mara Game Reserve. Also, we are joined by a super predator of these waters, the Nile crocodile, and this one is a super huge one. He's so big, he's well fed and very relaxed. He had a wildebeest kill earlier when I arrived, but for some reason he just let go. It floated downstream. There comes another one, and he's swimming effortlessly upstream with no issues. You can see that, swimming with ease. I tell you, the current here is very heavy, but for him is like a walk in the park. These are the predators of the Mara River, and they are at the crossing. This is one of the crossings where the wildebeest cross further up, and they always hear the rumbling of the feet of the wildebeest and zebra, and then swim upstream, grab one, bring it here. This is where they eat it. You can tell he's very bloated, so he's been eating very, very well. Unfortunately, today the river is very empty. Maybe some crossings downstream there were crossings, but I have driven a few, crossings, and I haven't found any wildebeest anywhere. But they will be coming to the river in the coming days, because they're always crisscrossing to the other side, which is Greater Mara. Devina, I did hear your name, and then I heard something about drought. Could you repeat that question, please? Oh, you asked, where do the hippo go in case of drought? Fortunately, we haven't had any droughts recently. The last one was in 1994, and it wasn't actually seen here very much. And the main reason is there is enough grazing for these huge grazers, and nobody else competes with them here apart from other herbivores. Usually they are much more affected where there's human habitation, because humans tend to use the same grazing land, use the same routes, so they wear out, they overgraze. But here animals move around, leaving some areas to recuperate, regrow, and then they move around. So they don't go anywhere, they stay within their areas, and they're not affected much here in the Masai Mara, because there's always enough for them to graze on, and also area to move. Definitely this is a pod of hippos because I've seen a few heads. I'll stay here to count the number of heads for a minute, and then I'll see you up the road. I'll look for something else.
Welcome back to Ambient Pinder, where the action has died down somewhat. These cubs many of the cubs having had their fill and moved off of the carcass, the lioness having decided that the growling from her offspring was too much. She's taken herself off to the side and is now grooming herself. Look at these two cubs still busily feeding on the carcass, tearing into that newly kind of opened muscle that the lioness opened up a little bit earlier. Looks like it's one of the legs, the meat on the inside of one of the legs. Quite a big muscle mass there. Look at those two cubs busy feeding side by side. See the tails flicking every now and then, and the ears pressed back, both signs of lions that are agitated, that are upset, that are being aggressive, just warning each other to keep away. And if we have a close look, everybody, just using my binoculars, you can use the zoom of the camera, looking at the legs of all of these cubs and the chins of them as well. Just how dirty they are from feeding on this carcass. They've literally been, these two now, they're basically inside the carcass. Their front legs and their chins and their faces are literally in the body cavity of the wildebeest. Looking very scruffy. And they'll definitely be in need of a bath once they finish here. I suppose that's when any hard feelings that might be had after the fighting that's been going on, a little bit of grooming can reaffirm those bonds. So apparently a couple of people wondering which particular pride of lions this is. This is part of the mountain pride of lions. Have a look at how fat that cub's belly is, everybody. I can't imagine how these little ones are still putting more meat away after all of that. I suppose it's like when you go to if you have a big dinner party or a big braai or a big barbecue, big cookout, and you think that you're full, but the food is just so good that you've got to go back for more. I think that's exactly what these cubs are doing. Listen to how quiet it is now. The cubs having each got their own piece of the carcass, so not so much competition anymore. But it's been super fantastic to watch these cubs feeding, to listen to those growls earlier. I think myself and Craig are going to move out of the area for now to go see what else we can find for you. But we might come back to the carcass a little bit later to see if there's been any changes here.
Welcome back to Chitwa, everybody, where, the birding continues this afternoon. We basically moved off of Chitwa for a moment to try and pick up on any signs of Thandi, and found her tracks actually coming in. Now, someone else has said that her tracks have gone back again, but I have not found those tracks, so I've come back into Chitwa because her tracks were heading down towards the dam. And we found a glorious fish eagle who was not here earlier when we were actually doing our hour of bird focus. So we thought, we'll show you to him now. Show him to you now. Or her. Such a wonderful bird, such an iconic African species. There's a bit of a shadow there from the stick above it, which is giving it that little line on the neck. It's just a shadow though. I'm almost certain. It does look like he's wearing a necklace. I'll check with my binoculars to be certain, everybody. Yes, it is just a shadow. It's just the shadow of the tree. Those of you who've never heard the call of the African fish eagle, it's an iconic African sound. And he's going to call for us shortly. We've prompted him for 20 minutes past 4, which is in the next minute. 4:20. So let's see if indeed this fish eagle got the email. There is Wi-Fi in the bush, everybody. Everybody's connected these days. Theo, you did send the email, didn't you? You did, yeah. You did date it for today? Okay. Just checking. We don't have to... Oh, there you go. It's 4:20. I'm just going to wait for the half of the minute to go. Or the full minute. Who knows, everybody? This is a live safari. Anything could happen. Absolutely anything could happen. Sandy could just pop out of the bushes as well. Yeah, I should probably tweet him. I wonder if the fish eagle's got a Twitter account. Probably the African fish eagle of Chitwa Chitwa. That would be the handle. I must remember that next time. Tweets are far more sort of useful for birds than they are for and emails. Emails are so outdated these days. It's all about social media, isn't it? That was terrible. I think my mouth was a bit dry. We're not going to rate that one. Yeah, that was the fish eagle, everybody. You heard it, didn't you? Okay, well, if you've never heard a fish eagle before, I will make a sound for you shortly, which hopefully won't be too loud. I don't think it'll be too much of a bother. Play it into my hat. Are you going to listen? Iconic sounds of the African wild. How wonderful was that? Wonderful sound. That was my lips, everybody. I did that with my mouth. I just had a sip of water so that I could whistle for you properly this time. I'm only joking. That is off of my bird app. If I could make a fish eagle sound like that, I think Ollie would be up for a challenge, indeed. As you remember Ollie, he was the incredible whistler of Safari Live, Wild Earth. Such a character. Such peaceful scenes here at Chitwa, just watching a bird of prey perched atop its tree, enjoying the view. You wonder if they do sit there enjoying how wonderful a scenery they have, or if they're just looking for their next meal.
So, some interesting things have developed here at Pridelands, and I'm very excited. And unfortunately, it's not with Kumo the elephant, but our little friend on the left-hand side. So, I just had a friend send me a video because I was telling her about this elephant, and she said, "Oh, that's funny. When I was at Thorny Bush last year in April, there was also an elephant that had like the same injury that I was describing, or deformity. You will not believe it, it was the same elephant. So not this one that's right in front of us, but the fella behind. But I know the scandal, it's so exciting. But it seems as though he was then with a breeding herd. So that's quite cool. So only in the last sort of year and a bit has he moved out from being in a breeding herd to being on his own and hanging around with the boys. I thought that was quite interesting. So Thorny Bush is not too far away from here. I'm not sure in terms of kilometers. I'm going to take a little guess there, but I'm sure the directors in Final Control could probably Google it very quickly for me. I'm going going to go with 20 kilometers as the crow flies, because I think Ngala is about 30 kilometers or so from Pryden. So I'm gonna go with about 10 kilometers there. But anyways, if the elephants were to walk there, it wouldn't be that far. There's no fences in the way. But I just thought that was quite nice that he now lives and roams around on Pryden's. And I don't know what made him come this way. Maybe he found a group of elephants once he was sort of no longer wanted or tolerated around the breeding herds, and maybe they walked with him. It would have been a far lonely walk to do by yourself, but he wouldn't have done it overnight either. It probably would have taken some time. But this fella in front of us wants to steal the show and doesn't want his friend to have any, well, not his friend, but he's the other elephant, to have anything to do with today's show. That's fine. You can show us your fancy footwork and how you like to feed. It was quite funny this morning. We had some trouble with not just one elephant bull and a youngster, but about another two afterwards. So it was a bit cheeky of them. I don't know what had ruffled. Sorry, not ruffled. I was going to say ruffled the feathers, and then I remembered quickly that elephants don't have feathers or wings. I was looking at the fork-tailed drongo that was just trying to catch all the insects, and then I used the wrong word. Classic Taylor. So quite interesting that. And now, of course, they're all hiding behind the trees. Thank you so much, elephants. So, can we have a look at the fork-tailed drongo on the right? Ian, a fantastic question. I don't think an elephant would necessarily get a flea. The reason why I say this is because their skin is quite thick, and even on the areas where their skin is, at the thinnest, I don't think they'd be able to penetrate through their skin. So definitely get ticks, and maybe they get other kinds of parasites, but fleas I'm not so sure. That bird, however, probably has a type of flea. There we go. These two boys showing each other up and stirring the dust. Is he going to jump? I'll cry if he jumps.
Welcome back, everyone, and look what I just found. 2 lionesses drinking. Yes, I'm so happy to catch up with these 2 girls. I saw them this morning lying quite far a distance. They were lying flat, so actually I couldn't stop. But now here they are drinking out in the open. Drink is always very welcome. One looks like she's got blood on her mouth, so they could have been eating, but maybe it was something small, so they finished it and they came to quench their thirst. Looking at them, they could be part of the Mugoro Pride. I have been seeing these 2 females not very far from here. They killed a zebra about a week ago. I shared that with you. And they're within the same area. Looking very healthy, very beautiful. Remember, this is live. It's coming from Masai Mara. Talk to us on #WildEarth. That's where you can drop a comment, drop a question. Tell us, Yes, they do have very fat bellies, and this time of the year they are allowed to be like this, and they deserve it, because any other time it is sometimes very difficult. There's only warthogs and buffalo around, much harder to bring down and also to feed a whole pride. But with the zebra and the wildebeest, it's enough for everybody to gorge themselves this time of the year. These girls, they look like... Is she going to call? Listen to that. Listen to that. Okay. Beautiful. There is nothing like a roar of a lioness or a lion That was a beautiful chorus by these two girls. The vocalization is for communication, and now it gives me more ideas of staying around, because maybe other members of the Pride will pop up, will turn up. They could not be very far. Remember, there is a coalition of 4 new males in this Pride, and they might come out. So I'm staying with them until it is maybe dark, or maybe if they go into the bush.
These wild dogs, after lying down for quite a bit and not doing too much, have all gotten up. And there's one of the youngsters that have moved with closer to the adults, and you see how the adults are now greeting. It sounds like squeaky time. Just listen to all of them as they are like gathering together, and it might not be too long before they eventually start moving. Just so much happening at the moment, so we'll try and stick to wherever we see there's a lot of action, just so that all our viewers can see it. But mainly here, just listen out to the noises and the interaction between the different individuals. Sure, but it sometimes does, but it all depends. Like, I mean, for now, like the adults don't have anything with them. Like probably early on, when they came back, and let's say the adults were out on a hunt, that squeaking sound that we heard earlier will initiate that for the adults in order to start regurgitating. And it's amazing to see, because you'll just hear all the youngsters, like that noises we heard earlier, will just go like that and just constantly call. And the adults will then move amongst all of them to try and give each and every individual a little bite of meat. Or a mouthful. This is just incredible. Look at how incredible this is as a sighting. I mean, I'm basically sitting here, I have no words. That's why let's just sit and enjoy. that one felt like it couldn't get away, so the bush was the only bit of cover that it could run to. Kim, they do eat quite a bit of meat now, so there's, just judging by their size and the number that are here, the majority of what they're going to get now is going to be meat. If they do suckle, it's going to be little bits, but they mainly rely especially on some of the other adults to bring back some food for them. So there are a few around of the adults, but they are the babysitters. It looks like the rest of them might have moved off, possibly to go and look out for a hunting opportunity. Now, with wild dogs, a pack that is quite big. Now, I didn't see the amount of adults that are here, but remember earlier I said I think there's close to 7. They'll have to at least hunt once a day in order to feed all these hungry mouths, but themselves as well, if not more, maybe even twice a day. And so early on, parts of the morning and later on in the afternoon are the times that they will go and hunt.
So, still with the boys, just hanging out, but they've now moved to a bourbeen tree is the other word that sometimes people in South Africa like to call this tree. Sure, okay. Anyways, Kumo is big enough that he stretched up and he broke a branch, and now you can see all the other younger bulls fighting over the scraps. He also used that same branch to beat another elephant. That's why there's all the dust that is kicked up. He is losing his patience with these younger bulls, who's not too impressed that they are following him around, and he just wants to eat in peace, really. You know, I think he's happy to have the other bulls around, but not in his comfort zone. The other elephants, as you can see, don't care. They get chased around and then they creep back in. But he's useful, Kumo, to these young bulls because they can't reach the nice green leaves. So at one point I thought he was actually going to jump up and pull down a branch, but it's not very common for elephants to do much jumping. Well, not jumping, standing up on their back legs. Rearing would probably be the correct term. Here in this sort of area, even in Kruger, that's sort of what you see up in Zimbabwe and Zambia and those places, on some really large trees. But it is quite dramatic when Nkumo does chase him, though, because the backlighting with this dust and the beautiful big tree is quite something. Look at that. It's a spectacular tree, and there's quite a few of them that line the various drainage lines and rivers here on Pridelands and also on Kwenga, the area that we can also traverse. Shame, boy. Did you get into trouble just now? Didn't really seem to be too bothered. And it's funny, he's only chasing the 2 bulls that are behind him. He's not chasing the younger bull that is in front, the one with a bit of a limp. And since I've started seeing Kumo, I've seen this young elephant with this deformity with him. Maybe these 2 are actually mates. I don't know. What are you up to, boys? Just picking up the last of the green leaves. But they also seem to be enjoying the bark today. And it's getting chilly now. I'm going to have to add a jersey on. Bob, I don't know if I would call Kumo a bully. He's not a bully. He's very nice and he's super tolerant when he's in the big breeding herds. He's very kind to all the other elephants. I've never seen him, chase the youngsters around. I think it was literally that Kumo had stretched up. He'd taken the time. He'd used the energy to break a nice branch off of this boerbean tree. And I kid you not, before that branch had even hit the floor, the other elephants were in his space going, "Oh, is there something for me?" I suppose all parents can kind of relate, when you're just trying to have I say this, but I have no children, but when you're just opening a packet of crisps or something because you just want some peace and quiet and you want a snack, Seb, maybe you can relate to this, and then Casey comes running on in.
I'm hungry.
I
have some of these.
Exactly, there we go. Seb's a father of two, so he knows firsthand. Casey is one of his daughters. So I think that's pretty much what happened in this situation, and he just went, "You know what, I'm tired," and then, like I said, used the branch as a weapon and swatted all the other elephants. It was quite comical. And then settled down, and now he's kind of happy with everybody feeding around him. But I think if these boys start pushing one another, he might turn around and then just sort of lay the law down and say, "Right, boys, settle. No need for this, or if you're going to do it, go and do it over there." We'll see. Oh, it's a fight over the last branch. Okay. This should be interesting. Look, they literally are going to have a tug of war over a branch. I don't know if I've actually ever seen elephants play tug of war. Not into my car, please. No. It's mine. Oh, no, maybe he's a bit more butch. It's mine. It's probably the tone of this elephant would have. Look, he's still trying to get it. He's just saying, "Just give me one piece, man. Just a little bite." Shame. Are you boys all starving? Good, I'm glad you find it humorous. You must laugh. You must laugh all day long. It stresses me out when I can't laugh once a day. I like to giggle all day long. Today I had a laugh. I was in my tent at one point and I was getting ready for drive, but then I just sat down and I read a couple of pages of this book and I could hear this. And I was like, there can only be one animal that eats like that. And then was a warthog, and it came down the pathway and then stood right outside my tent for ages eating. So it was quite funny. I had a laugh at that. We might go around one more time. Oh. Looking for the best access to get back to the sacred branch that everybody wants to eat. No? Maybe you're just going to be happy with some smaller pieces. Not quite worth it. Oh, big flaps of the ears. Did you see that? As that elephant on the right flapped his ears, how all the dust came off of his body. Very pretty lights at the moment, especially if that sun just drops maybe a little bit more. Maybe in 20 minutes or so it's going to be gorgeous. It won't be as harsh, but it's still quite something. And we're getting to that point. I reckon if we hold on just for a little bit longer, you can see that one is creeping up to Kumo. He might turn around, which is not great for me because I might have to move out of the way. Not that the elephants are going to run into my car intentionally. You can see they're very relaxed and not perturbed by us at all. This is the kind of behavior we want from elephants, not cheeky ones that are trying to charge you. You can see are you going to stretch up again? Looks like he's looking for another branch. It's kind of like when a leopard looks up at the tree and goes, I wonder if I'm going to climb this one. Obviously, he's not going to climb the tree, which is unfortunate. And he's also getting annoyed with those boys again. Up he goes. He's so big, this elephant. It's actually not too difficult for him to reach those branches. But it was quite pathetic. Kumo, I just spoke about how amazing you were at breaking these huge branches off when you broke a twig. Well, he's got his bottom to us. Oh, sorry. Huh. And of course, right behind the tree. I wonder if he would be able to, or if he ever has, jumped up onto his back legs before. Maybe when the drought was at its absolute peak a couple of years ago, the elephants in this area would have had to reach up a bit higher. It looks like he's gearing up for something. He's backing it up. What? Oh, that's why. Okay. Well, lightening the load. Maybe that will help him to stand up. Sorry, I think I'm very funny. You know. Also some little bird. Sounds like a little sunbird or something that's come on in. Kumo, come on. We're all waiting here patiently to see you stretch up and break a branch. Please, can you do us that favor? He's going right up to the tree now. No, he's just feeling around the base with his trunk. You know, don't pull the roots. He was feeling one of the big roots. Look at that. Hi, big boy. Are you going to come to us? Okie dokie. Kumo's coming to say hello. I'm going to move out of his way. And while I do that, off you go somewhere else. Okay, bye, Kumo.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinde, everybody. Look at what we've got here. One of the other vehicles called us. They managed to find this pangolin out in the open, busy walking through the long grass. Isn't this exciting? I can't believe it's out in the open in the late afternoon light. Now, look at that. Legs. It's not a baby pangolin, but rather a satellite of wind noise in the background, a bit of a disturbance. Apologies for that, everybody. But as I was saying, satellite tracker that our researchers here have attached to this pangolin to help them to study them. Moving quite quickly now into that long grass, we can still catch the odd glimpse of it moving through the bushes. And sharp, which indicates that it's quite a young pangolin, and oftentimes young pangolin that's believed come as opposed to it's thought to avoid competition with other adult pangolins, seeing as they can be quite territorial. It's a move. Looks like it's on the move looking for some food. Everybody. Okay, we're going to try and get another view of this creature.
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, this is the best they do, and it looks like it is a pose that they wanted to match one another. The very same position of the tail, the legs. I don't know if you noticed that. Not far from water, so in case something comes, they always can get it. Yeah, and over here, who do we have? We have a sparrowing plover, and I think she's got some chicks. Yeah, I don't know if you'll allow us to, see them. See how she... Oh, there. Oh, you had seen them? Okay, and I haven't seen them before. But, yeah, this is a sparrowing plover, and it looks like she's got some chicks. Yeah, it's a very good area to be. And down there is, if you zoom in down there, James, you'll see there's some Egyptian geese with some goslings. I think it's the same one we've been seeing a couple of days. And, she's doing very well. I don't know how many there are this time. Yeah, you can see them there. They're growing very fast. Yeah, they are less today. So I think maybe many of them have been eaten. Yeah, Nile monitor, young crocodiles eat them. I see two. It's rather sad because there were 10 about 1 week ago. So it's really sad to see them just 2. Okay, yeah, I'm staying with these lions. They roared a while, so others might appear.
We've managed to catch up again with this pangolin, everybody. See how it's walking around on its back legs with its nose to the ground, sniffing. And as it walks, it'll be making this kind of sniffing sound, a bit like this. Busy sniffing, trying to find any termite colonies or ant colonies that it can feed on. How beautiful is that, though? How the scales are shining bronze in the afternoon light. Ooh, look how he's just stopped. No doubt to listen and to smell. To see if there's anything potentially dangerous around. Don't you love how he changes direction like that every now and then? Coming right towards us, everybody. He's going to walk into the shadow of the vehicle just now. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. Kirsty says we're being charged by the pangolin. Oh, so look at that now. He's come into the shadow of us. And he's realized that there's something here. There you go, changing direction. I'm going to keep quiet. You might be able to hear him walking. This is ridiculous, everybody. Going to walk right past the front of the vehicle. Obviously, we don't want to move because if we do, we'll disturb him. So we're just going to sit quietly here. This is unreal. Deciding it best to go around the back of the vehicle. Look at how he walks with his 2 front legs held together, almost like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And it looks like he's going to come. He's going right past the back of the vehicle. Craig's going to have to spin around in his seat. Oh my goodness, everybody. This has just been the most ridiculous afternoon. Now, I'm pretty sure he's going back behind the vehicle. How ridiculous was that? I can't believe it. He's carried on down the road behind us. So we'll let him get a little bit further away from the vehicle because we don't want to disturb him too much by driving around a lot while he's so close to us. So we'll give him a second or two and then we'll maybe try for another view of him. But how crazy was that? Oh, okay, so just apparently a couple of you didn't get what was on his back. It was quite rushed. I'll apologize. I was very excited. Oh, he's come out in the open again. Sorry. So on his back, he's got those 2 little kind of blobs that from a distance almost look like a baby pangolin. That's where a mother pangolin would carry her baby. But it's not a baby. It's 2 tracking devices that our conservation team have attached to this pangolin. Here at Ambionpinda, we've begun a pangolin reintroduction program. The first of its kind. No one's really done it before, and so it's very important that we monitor these pangolins, keep track of their movements. And there's, like I said, no one's done it before, so there's no kind of rule book on how to do it. And we're busy with a very intensive study of these pangolins that are in the area. They've all come from the illegal wildlife trade. Many of you will know that this animal is the most trafficked animal in the world. And so all of the pangolins that get brought here have been taken away. They've been confiscated from poachers and taken to a vet. And then brought down here to Ambionpinda, where they've been reintroduced into the wild. And our habitat team, a very dedicated group of people that are putting in the time and the effort to get these animals re-established here in the wild. They did used to occur here. In fact, I think there was a record here from the late 1900s. But yeah, super exciting that they're back here in Maputo land, and how special to be able to show you this little pangolin on this afternoon. I'm speechless. I can't believe that it walked straight towards us like that. That was unbelievable. And even Craig, I believe it's Craig's first pangolin that he's ever seen, so he's pretty excited as well. You could only see the smile on his face. But that pangolin has carried on into the long grass behind us there. And no doubt, like I said, with it being quite a young animal, it's probably been out already feeding for the better part of the afternoon. like we said, trying to avoid the competition with bigger pangolins, adult pangolins that would come out at night. And so it's no doubt heading back to its burrow, where it will spend most of the rest of the day asleep, nice and warm. But I don't even know what to say, everybody. That was unbelievable.
Well, thanks, Damon. How amazing it is indeed to see pangolins. You've come back over to us on Chitwa, where we've got two youngish wildebeest males that have been playing quite nicely for us over here. They've been horning each other, and now they decided to both lie down after a little bit of a scratch and practicing some territorial behavior for when they become big dominant bulls. Now, here we go. And the way wildebeest fight is they go down on their knees and then they present horns. That gives them a lot of leverage when they push forward. It's very hard to push them back because of that angle. Oh, there we go. It's wonderful to see these scenes. They're obviously not being very physical with each other. It's just practice. But still, it's a precursor to the battles that do play out amongst adult dominant wildebeest. And these two youngsters have been hanging around Chitwa for as long as I can remember now. At least the last year, we've been seeing them hanging around Chitwa. Better off hanging out with a friend who you can spar with and practice, and who can also keep a bit of vigil, than to be hanging out on your own. Now they're going to walk in a circle, show each other who's biggest, and then back at it. Different from the wildebeest you'll see in the Mara. Those are the white-bearded gnus. These are the blue wildebeest, although there's nothing blue about them. Also known as the brindled gnu. Those lines on the side of the body. That was all too much time for a drink. Thinking though, is there a crocodile there? Not sure. Okay, well, we're going to stay right here and see what more happens with this wildebeest.
We've managed to find this pangolin again, everybody. He's in the long grass. You can just hear his scales brushing through that grass as he walks. Quite noisy animals. That's what I was trying to get earlier, was that sound of them as they walk. Those very rough scales on their bodies brush through the bushes and through the grass. It makes quite a bit of noise. And of course, if you're covered in scales like that, you can kind of just bulldoze through whatever you want to. And still kind of zigzagging up and down all over the place, using that very sensitive sense of smell to sniff out termites and ants. He'll be quite selective about the different species that he'll be feeding on. He'll be looking mainly for ant larvae or termite larvae, both in mounds or even just. It's amazing to watch these little creatures feed, because as they walk around, you look at a piece of ground and you think, oh, there's nothing there, but yet this pangolin will go and start to dig there and start to feed, and then you go and examine the little spot where he's excavated, and you find that there's a whole network of tunnels down there, and this pangolin was able to smell that with its incredible sense of smell. Apparently everyone's saying that this pangolin sighting has made their day. It's made, I think, all of our days as well. I literally cannot believe that it walked to us like that. In my wildest dreams, never would have imagined. And it seems to be, like I said, it's zigzagging around quite a lot, smelling as it goes, and so we kind of get views of it every now and then, and it comes out into the open and then back into a thicket of grass. But it is kind of gradually heading up the hill, and up that hillside there's a lot of old, massive termite mounds that have had big burrows dug into them that this pangolin might use. James, you're asking about the collar on the back of the pangolin. You're asking that if a female pangolin were to have a youngster, would the collar not interfere with the place where the pup would hold on to? You're absolutely right. And that's something that we are busy looking into now. We're having to think about new ways to attach these collars to the pangolin. We do monitor all the pangolins here very carefully, though, and so we would know if one of the females was pregnant, and then we'd, like I said, we are busy working out a new plan for it, and then we'll definitely make sure that that collar is not going to interfere with that pup on her back. But it's amazing what these collars go through, just in terms of the wear and tear. Like just by walking through bushes and grass, they get really badly worn down. The aerials get broken off, and we're constantly having to work with the company that designs these collars to come up with new designs. And better designs to make them tougher. Of course, also, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a picture or a video of a pangolin being attacked by a lion or by a leopard. And because of the fact that, they've got that impregnable ball of scales around them and they just roll up into a ball when they're attacked, lions will often kind of hold on to them and try and get into their bodies. And that collar that's sitting on the outside like that becomes quite attractive as a chew toy for lions. Speaking to our researchers, they've often found, in fact, that pride of lions we were with earlier, they once found that pride surrounding this pangolin. The pangolin curled up into a ball, and the lions were busy chewing on the collar, and they managed to get it off the pangolin. Yeah, so having to kind of work around all of these things. And like we said, it's a new concept. No one knows how to do it. We're kind of writing the book as we go along, and constantly having to think about new ways to do things and how to improve it. But very exciting work being done here. And I've just got a glimpse of that pangolin. It's now moved quite far away from the road, and it seems to be making a straight, or heading off in a straight line up that hillside. So I think myself and Craig are going to leave this pangolin, let our heart rate settle for a bit, and then go look for some rhinos.
Here we are, with Cedric's parents. Yes, I've brought myself to be able to say it with confidence. At least one of them, and they were on the ground when we arrived, and then they flew up. So we've been investigating the space that they flew from. Firstly, how gorgeous is that? It's sitting in a tambuti, and the leaves are catching the sunlight just beautifully. It looks like a painting. I just couldn't let that beauty go without mentioning it. Now I want to show you the spot that they came from. They were just here. Hello, it's my face. Just in that area there. So I've been having a good look and getting excited for every log that I thought looked a little bit fluffy. But nothing so far. So they nest, or we've seen them nest on the ground, but they can also nest in trees and on rocks and things, but mostly on the ground, at least here. So that's the area that we want to be checking, and I'm going to give it a thorough look.
So Sebastian and I have had a great afternoon. Just after we left the elephants, we stumbled across a colony of dwarf mongoose. So those little things that you can see there. Now, I know where these mongoose live. So they live pretty much in this area. But they've run about 100 meters now. And they've been trying to dodge the elephants. And it's just so funny to see how they go from one point to the other. Oh, there they are, Sep, underneath this tree. Where are you going? Have you moved your dens now? There they ran to the right. So they've gone behind the camera. They're behind us now. I'm going to reverse, just waiting for the last one to pass. Go, 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 mongoose. Sorry, elephants, you're not the stars of the show anymore because I also really like mongoose. Where are they? They're quite relaxed. So I think if we stop and we just settle for a bit. But it was so great. They were grooming themselves and each other. They were maybe about 1.5 meters away from the car, and then they ran straight past all the elephants. The elephants didn't even know they were there. But I think that they have moved where they live. Where did you go, mongoose? They've in one of these little log piles that you can see. The elephants have broken a lot of trees here. And then there were a couple of roads, so you can see some of them have been cut with chainsaws just to move them off of the road. And now they're just in piles. And it's a great area for dwarf mongoose or any small little carnivores, because they're protected, of course, by all the fallen trees, from all the raptors and things like that. But then also there'll be lots of things to eat, scorpions and millipedes and any other sorts of bugs. But now, of course, I haven't got a clue where the mongoose have gone. There's one behind us, but the others all cross the road. They're definitely here. I'm just trying to see which pile of wood they are at. I'm so sorry, everybody. Sometimes the things don't work out like we did, but we did have a great sighting of them. Come on, mongoose. Where are your friends? Oh, Seb, I don't know if you can get there. Let me go back. Yeah. I just don't want to... I'm going to keep scaring them if I move. Mongoose, don't run away. No, it's just us. It's just us. And there's lots of little pups. Quite a few of them. More than half of the size of the adults. Probably a bit less than that, sorry. Well, of course they're not going to come out. This is so typical. We sit with them when we're not live and they give us the most amazing sighting. And then when we go live, then they will just hide away like this. It's rather... Are they over there? It's rather frustrating. Oh, no, come back. You're going back to your original home. You've just made us do a bit of a run around, but I suppose that's just how it goes.
Thanks, Sailor. You and your mongoose. Still remember that video? You and the mongoose and the hornbill. That's one of the funniest things ever. If you haven't seen it, everybody, you need to go and have a look. Pretty sure it went viral. The funniest thing in the video, I think, is Taylor's laugh. Anyway, these two male wildebeests are still having a go. They just pushed the other one in towards the water. They're a little bit more physical than before. They're doing all the sort of telltale signs of being dominant, rolling in the mud or in the dirt. Let's listen to the horns clashing. Okay, exerting dominance, lying down on the spot that they've defecated or urinated on. And the other one to try and get him up. Now we'll see them again. The one who's standing won't tolerate the other one lying down for too long. We'll give him a bit of a nudge. Come on. We're obviously right outside the lodge of Chitwa. Wonderful seeds. If you're just enjoying a sundowner at your lodge. Sometimes going on safari, you don't necessarily have to go on every drive. Sometimes just spending the afternoon chilling on your deck. The animals come to you. Okay, now they're both going to lie down. There we go, they're rolling in it. Typical male wildebeest behavior. You don't see females rolling around in the dirt. They lie down, of course. They don't roll. Males, there's a lot of visual communication in wildebeest, but lots and lots of olfactory, meaning smells. And so they've got glands below their eye, glands between their hooves, and then they also defecate and urinate. And so all of that in combination forms a smell that they cover themselves with, and they'll actually rub onto an animal they've dominated, a male that they've dominated, and even a female they wish to mate with or have mated with. They're really very romantic. The water buck are actually a marvellous little side note to the wildebeest action. They're a little bit more jumpy, the water buck. A whole lot of youngsters here. Beautiful, delicious golden light. Yes, that's right. Delicious. Nice, Theo. The male waterbuck coming behind this one. He's licking his lips. He's very interested in checking every single female in this herd.
Hello again from Man Beyond Pinder. Myself and Craig have managed to find the white rhinos that we've been in search of. Our heart rate's still a little bit up from the excitement of that pangolin, but here's a scene to relax things a little bit. 2 white rhinos resting in this open clearing here. And look at that one there. Have a look at its side and how it's got almost a 2-tone coloration. With it being quite a warm day today, no doubt these rhinos would have gone down to a mud wallow to lie in the water, roll in the mud for a bit. Hence that 2-tone colouring. You can see where the water came up to on that rhino. But look at its head and how its head still looks dry. So I wonder, it must have been quite an awkward angle that it was lying at. Trying very hard not to get its face in the water, face in the mud. How those ears are wiggling around, listening to its surroundings. Oh, look at this! Look at the starlings. HB, you're saying so peaceful and sweet. HB, I couldn't agree with you more. It's just the most picturesque afternoon here, and just extra special to have these rhinos in this golden light here. But have a look at that starling. Oh, look at that! It's picking at the side of the rhino. On the rhino, sorry, Craig. Yeah, on the rhino on the right. There's a starling that's hopping around, a Cape starling, Cape glossy starling, hopping around at the rhino's front leg, now at its face, just under its eye. And it was pecking at the rhino's skin just now. Almost behaving a bit like an oxpecker, maybe picking off some ticks, or some insects attracted to the rhino, maybe even bits of dead skin. You can hear them calling as well in the background. And look at how now, just in the time that you've been here, really, how the shadows have lengthened and the light is starting to fade. The sun's starting to set behind us over the western horizon. I think these rhinos are probably just taking a bit of time out to rest in this cool breeze. It's been quite a hot day here today. Look at it rolling over. Oh my word. I thought it was going to tip all the way onto its side. It's in danger of overbalancing, of course. If it did that, it would wind up on its back. Wouldn't that be funny? A rhino with its legs in the air. Look at the one on the right. Quite a bit. See how it's now lifted its head again. It's been quite fidgety compared to the larger one on the left. But now look at its eyes, how they've started to close. Resting peacefully in this open clearing. And almost looks like its nostrils are squashed. Like the weight of its head resting on its chin is almost too much. BJ, you remarking on the ears and how they wiggle. You're saying that you love how they twist and turn and wiggle all over the place. It's amazing how they can twist it all the way around. Face it backwards, face it forwards. I suppose look at how big that animal is, how long it is. To have to turn around and face the direction of a sound must be quite a challenge, quite a waste of energy and quite a cumbersome motion, especially if you need to freeze to use your hearing to help you to determine the nature of a sound that you're hearing. Is it a dangerous sound? Where is it coming from? What's making the sound? So being able to swivel those ears around like that is definitely helpful in that respect. I think myself and Craig are maybe going to move on from here and see what else we can find for you on this wonderful, beautiful evening.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
So going from wild dog pups to lion cubs, this afternoon we've been so lucky here at Ambion Ngala. We've decided to come back to where we left that pride this morning. They haven't really moved at all from where we last saw them, but have a look in the mirror of the screen here. That young cub has just taken down Mum's tail and holding it down. So Mum's trying to swat the flies, and you'll see every time she manages to get the tail out, she'll go and grab the tail. And just behind, you'll notice the young male, just by the mane as well as the size of the head. But have a look at this youngster now as soon as that tail comes out. Now there's some, what looks like Swainson's spurfowl. It is Swainson's spurfowl. They're moving straight into this pride. They're standing on the outskirts. That young cub is actually looking at them right now. And let's count the meters, so it's probably close to not even 5 meters away from those lions. And there's also a lot happening. We're looking at this lioness with the Swainson spurfowl off to the left. That young female's gone up and she's going to go for a suckle. But if I were those Franklins, I'd definitely move out as quickly as I possibly can. But have a look at this one now coming back. And just finding a nice little patch there. Probably to go and lie down. Oh. Just relieving herself. There's left of that, there's a female that's lying down with her legs also open, and then just in between those is where that young male is. I don't know how well this is going to turn out for the other one, because they're basically having a fight over Mom. That little one is trying to stalk those birds. So see where the little one lie down? Now, 4 meters in front. Oh, they just got a fright and moved up. They probably realized that young lioness probably had a death stare in her eyes when she looked at them. But she might have just lost interest now. Just going to sniff, maybe pick up the scent of what they are before she heads back. And I wonder if they are going to move this afternoon, if they're going to go down to the water, or are they going to be spending most of their time here?
We've been very lucky with not only elephants, but also the gorgeous light this afternoon. So we've moved around to Ndlovu Dam, right outside Eco Training's tented camp. And we've got 2 elephant bulls just quenching their thirst. Hello, elephants. One of you, the elephant that gave me a bit of a charge this morning, I wonder. I think, hey Seb, we actually thought that the elephants that we saw this morning were going to be here a lot sooner. But I think they've been taking their time just moving through the block, but it's so peaceful here. So I think let's just take a moment, and hopefully you'll be able to hear the sounds of the elephants as they slurp up the water. Unfortunately, it's not particularly loud because we are sitting quite far away from them at the dam. But I really do love just sitting here. The amount of birds and small mammals, and of course the larger ones like the elephants that come around are really special. Has that one got a broken tusk? He does, does he? It looks like it. Sure, very sharp. But no breeding herds. I don't know where they've all gone. I know that there was one seen yesterday afternoon, but they were in quite a hurry, and they were in an area where we don't have any signal, which is unfortunate. We did try and relocate on them, but no luck. And then the rain sent us home early. But I thought that they were coming this way and coming onto the property, and there's no other water around other than if they drink here, if they drink at Leopard Dam, or there's a little pan that's being pumped now, which is right next to the HQ, the headquarters. And where those elephants were, I don't know where they'd be drinking, unless they're turning back and going all the way to the Motlebetsi and digging in the river, because I don't think that there's much water left in that river system. So it's just fascinating as to where they've gone. And we know elephants will drink water whenever they can. Oh well. We'll just keep viewing the elephant bulls until the big breeding herds decide to come back.
So have a look at how this young male is stalking this lioness. See how he's crouched down. Yes, point forward. Yes, this doesn't even know he's lying down there. So let's see how long before he eventually starts stalking her. It's so funny to watch because now this young cub is stalking the other one, and of course brother's stalking her. As she stops, he stops. So it looks like the young brother, or the brother's losing the fight here. The sister's putting him straight into his place. Saranya, they do have personalities. Look at that young female now. She's now going to stir up some more mischief up with the other one on the other side. Now, earlier on, I saw her picking up a piece of blue wildebeest dung and eventually dropping it near that tree. Now, I wonder what she's chewing. Is she chewing a stick? Or is she chewing a bit of that dung again? Now she's turning around. She needs to decide who she's going to hunt now. Is it going to be the bigger one? Or is it going to be that young male? She is staring quite intently at him, though. There she goes. How amazing is this to watch? Just to be able to see how they interact and just enjoy these lion cubs. And that's often the pleasures of the bush. Is the more time you spend with animals, the more likely something is going to happen. And even though you can come to these lions 20 times a day, there's always something different that's going to happen. Have you noticed this female has a prominent white tip under her tail? Which is very unusual because you don't really see lions with that. They just see, so like with normally lions, they have that black tassel at the end of the tail. But look at that little one now when she flicks her tail. You might just notice there's white underneath.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Djuma, where we have decided to finally, after a wonderful afternoon at Chitwa, we've now left and gone and parked ourselves on top of the hill and framed up the sun with a beautiful knobthorn tree. I'm just going to allow all of you to just sit back and relax, turn up your volume so you can maybe hear the sound of the birds. I'm just going to let you have that all to yourselves. apologize about the vehicle, everybody.
So notice what this lioness is doing. You'll see she's picking up her head and moving it sideways gently and sniffing quite hard. So what she's doing, she's testing the wind. Now, there's some other members of the pride just left of where she is. You'll also notice that they have their heads up, doing exactly the same. So I'm wondering, so the wind is blowing from left to right. So where they're staring into, so they're basically staring into the wind's blowing towards them. And I wonder if there's maybe some wildebeest or zebra or something that's moving on that side, and that's what they're smelling. Often a yawn, quite a big stretch, and then they'll get up. Unless there's something close. Now, this female here, notice in the back part of her body, if you look at the back left leg, you'll see there's a white dot right in the middle. Now, this is how we can identify this particular lioness. Now, she's one of so there's two main lionesses in this pride, or the two sisters that eventually was the mothers for the majority of the pride, and that's one of them. So whenever she starts moving, the rest will follow. And there's the young male that decided to come and to slide in a little bit closer. Maybe he also smelt what might be around, and decided just to move closer to where they are. Notice that male as well. Look at how he's trying to sniff and test the air. Now, for us, we can't smell what it is. We can't see what it is. But for these lions, I can just imagine, depending on how strong the wind might be, but whatever might be on its way could be maybe even 100 meters or more further away from where we are now. And that's what they are able to pick up way before they can even see them. And that's the thing, when lions have their heads up like that, you just never know what we can possibly find.
Absolutely, you can never know what's happening when a lion picks up its head. There's so many possibilities. Much like when these little cubs pick up their heads. Are they going to go into the den? Are they going to suckle? Are they going to run around, ring around the termite mound? We don't know. But things are very peaceful. I must also tell you that these two were the cause of my flat tire this afternoon. I had a very, very slow pressure leak from the exact spot where these two were pulling at. And I tried to shout at them. And I promise, you saw me shout at them, and I was being very nice, but I promise I did get sterner, and I did bang the car and stomp my feet, clap my hands, all the usual. And eventually they did go away. I know there's a number of other things people do with pets to deter them from doing stuff, but I'm not so sure how well these work on hyenas, and whether the hyena mums will be too impressed with me if I had to use those techniques. And either way, I think it was worth it. And we do have a fresh tire on the vehicle, which is how we're managing to drive around. So we're going to stick around here at the den until the end of show. Hopefully they'll be up and about in a bit.
We've got a very, very itchy but naughty elephant that I need to watch very carefully, because I'm almost certain, I just need to maybe check some photos, that this is the same, well, this was the first bull that we had that gave us trouble. This is not the one that mock charged us later on in the morning show. But like I said, there's been a couple of bulls that have they've just got like a sour taste in their mouth. And he's not been very nice to us. Hey, Sebi, do you think that this is the one? Relax now. So he keeps doing this and he gets closer. Sorry, I'm going to move. No. The dam is there, but don't start, because otherwise I'm going to go forward. Don't. I'm giving you room to walk, but I'm not letting you win. Don't do it, because I'm going to shout at you. So I've been having this argument with this elephant, because when we saw him this morning, he actually dropped his head and came for us, which is really not nice when an elephant does that. So I'm just going to watch him. But he's a young elephant bull. So the reason why I moved back now is because obviously we've been here the whole time since they were on the other side, and they've come to us. But he wanted to scratch, and so I just gave him a bit of room. But he's been like unbelievably cheeky. No, hey. And he doesn't respond to, stop it. No. He doesn't respond to shouting and clapping anymore, so he's obviously been shouted at. Don't throw that stick at this car, because I'll be upset. And I don't like it when an elephant bull, sorry, I'm trying to get out of your way, when an elephant bull comes and stands over the car and does that classic intimidation method. I could sit here and let him do that, and I promise you he's not going to do anything. Stop it now. It's not nice. But I don't think that it's necessary, because then if he does change his mind and decide that he's had enough, which he probably won't, there's nothing that I can do. And he'll be too close. Stop it. Stop it now. Enough with your attitude. See how he's basically doing a displacement behavior now, where he's feeling on the ground, on the stick, trying to get me to think that he's feeding and that he's relaxing. But you can see his whole body language right now is slightly tense. But we've already had a fight this morning. He probably knows that I'm the same person. I mean, I probably have a very unique scent. And I'm sure he recognizes the sound of my voice, but we sat with him for ages this morning, and he was just so unpleasant, and we were far away. And I don't want him to get a bad habit where he becomes a problem animal. And, you know, it's one thing with experienced safari guides being able to sit here and to try and discipline these elephants, but it's when you've got, you know, students, it's important for them to see this kind of thing. But they also might panic in the situation and make the wrong move, and, you know, it might encourage an elephant like this to do something that it shouldn't. And the last thing that we want is to get into a horrible, you know, altercation where an elephant hits a vehicle. And you really have to be careful of these animals, and that's why you know, you kind of don't want to get too close. So discipline is a very important part of I'm just going to go back a little bit, of an elephant's life. He grows up with it. Seb and I have been talking about this, and what this bull needs is for Kumo to come over here and give him a hiding.
We heard a saw from the hyena den, and we have found Shudulu. So she's on the link road between Treehouse Dam and Philemon's Dip at the moment, which seems to be her usual path. Oh, look, have a look at this. She's been scent marking so much, which has just been awesome. So I tell you, so this morning I was saying to you, there's a few reasons I stay at the hyena, or I sit at the hyena den, even when it's quiet or when they're just suckling. And that's because we can watch the hyenas, we can see the cubs grow and play, and you get to hear really well because of where the hyena den is positioned. Case in point. Now I'm just going to follow behind her for a little bit until she gets to the open area and I can manage to get in front of her. It's not too far. Awesome. A leopard on the dam cam too. Steve is going to it. Great. All right, she has an open space. I'm going to try and get... Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Beautiful girl. Amazing. Amazing. So happy with that. There she goes. Okay, let me try and get...
So, just looking at the angle of these lines now, you'll notice that there's been a slight change. There's another one that was lying down further back that decided to come and lie down right next to that young male. I'm just trying to see. It looks like it might be a young female. There's no mane developing. It might just be the one earlier on. Remember the young cub was playing with that one around that tree where it picked up a stick. So that's the one just decided to come and lie down next to that male. But look at the size difference even. How much bigger is he in comparison to her? Now, even though he doesn't have a fully developed mane yet, he is a big lion. So one is just enjoying. This one in front of the male is just enjoying that coarse tongue of that male on the back, maybe giving it like a bit of a scratch.
There she goes. She was right in front of us.
Just got a female leopard walking away from the area.
So she's actually heading up towards a quarantine, looks like. Oh, I love this time of day, because this time of day is when leopards, you just hear them, you see them. It just takes one moment to hear that soar, thanks to BK. And we just came out, followed that sound. And here she was, just like that, with an alarm call, just like that. Okay, let's have a good look here. Now, she's actually been frequenting Rebecca's Road quite a bit, which is just to the west of this Philemon's Dip. Just beautiful. It's so nice to see her so often. First time I saw Shadulu, I was with BK. And the most recent time tonight with BK too. He must be good luck for Shadulu finding. The coats of leopards are just magic. Just stunning. Her coat feels more densely packed with rosettes to me, or smaller gaps between them. It's just captivating at the moment.
All the talk of a breeding herd, and one has arrived, and it's Susan on the right-hand side. Now, if you're wondering who Susan is, she's my favorite elephant. She is basically my spirit animal, and I think her and I share the same attitude. But anyways, I think it's because her tusks are too tight on her trunk, and that's why she behaves the way she does. She's not happy with the buffalo that are also at the watering hole. There they are, two big Duggar boys. And it's great because we've got like the whole family back. Tungsten, where is he? There was a buffalo. Oh no, maybe it wasn't Tungsten. Remember we saw a buffalo with he used to have his tongue hanging out. I thought that one did, but maybe it isn't. Perhaps I was mistaken. But anyways, sorry, so the whole family's not back again. There she goes. Look, she cannot help herself. Susan, there's so much water around here for everybody. She's so cheeky. She's saying, get out of there. Susan, now, if you could go and teach that adolescent bull that was giving me some hassles a bit of a lesson, I'd be very thankful for that. Look at her. That's mean. Don't push them into the mud. She's a funny elephant. I do love how she rallies everybody else up as well. So now there's a little baby that's brave enough just behind her. Oh, goodness, and the dacre? Oh, it's all happening. Susan, don't you chase that dacre away from this watering hole, because we love to watch it. And it is a very relaxed dacre. But we're going to sit here and watch this herd for a little bit longer.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you, damn cammers. We have found Salamba. Sorry, I'm ducking out the way. She just called everybody. Such a ferocious call. It was quite something to see. I've never seen her call before. Well, actually, I saw her call once before. It was a little half-hearted. And then she looked around sheepishly as if she was unsure of what she'd done. Now she did a proper call. And it's probably in response to Shadulu. Shadulu and her are having a bit of a sawing competition, although they're not very close. They're probably about 1.5 kilometers, maybe a kilometer from each other as we speak. Okay, we have another vehicle in the sighting, so I'm just going to move up and over onto the side so that they can also get some access. So bear with us. She's going to scent mark all the bushes along the way as she goes. Right there, there you go. Okay, so we're going to have another vehicle in the shot, so...
Sorry, guys.
Currently in area.
But there we have our leopard here. I'm just informing the other stations about what's going on. Copy, I think you seem to be closer than Mike. So if you could maybe check with him if you can come in first.
Might come in for the show.
She really likes this area. This is the exact same spot where last time I found where we had her in the dip. That is the exact same spot. All right, there we have a nice view.
It's a bit far, so I'll let you know.
Everyone says it's the princess and the duchess. I think they are quite similar. They both have this kind of playful streak, and they have a very similar build. And they're both quite large females. I think they look strong and elegant, both of them. Oh, look at that. Look at those eyes. Janet, you say now you just need Tandy and Tingana to pop in? Oh, I hope so, Janet. Tingana especially. I've been thinking about him. I mean, I'm thinking about all of them all the time. I'm just going to move forward a tad so we can see her past this bush. Spotted owlet going there. That is what I'm talking about. Yes, please. Thank you, Bush. Thank you, Shidulu. Epic. Absolutely epic.
Ready. She's spotted something. Hello, everybody. She's just gone off into the bushes here after something. I don't know if she actually went in. She spotted something. I don't know what it is. She just ran in after it. Another vehicle in the sighting. You don't see it there. Just in the drainage line here is where Purple Eye, our lioness, had her cubs. Very dense area, very tricky to get in. It's also where Tandy had her cub. Columba, oh, she's in front of us. You got it? Yeah. Did she run, eh? Rex, I think I just saw her run past me in front here. It's a very tricky area, everybody. Getting access here is very, very hard. That's what these leopards do. Okay, well, we're going to try go around. There is an access into the drainage line around the corner. Let's go see if we can try find her again.
It certainly is what leopards do, and Columba is especially good at it, and Shidulu is too, which is why right now she's being very obliging. She's in the open, at least in her little 5-meter radius, and she's sitting very pretty. And what a cracker end, guys. Love it. She's been sawing. She's sawed 3 times in the last half an hour. She's most definitely laid stake to this part of Juma. Look at those eyes, look how wide her pupils are. Trying to collect as much light as possible because it's being lost very quickly. Just a small band of sunlight left. Paying attention to everything. Such a stunner. Well, I certainly know you're as happy as I am that we had the ability to find Shadul, or rather she presented herself to us and Kalamba as well. I know, we don't want the drive to end, but it's that time, and it is the leopard time this evening. It's just the way it is. It's the way the bush works. Amazing. Amazing. A little bit speechless. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've just not seen her in a while. Okay, we're going to go into infrared just for this last minute of the show so we can get a nice clear picture of her. And there we go. It's been a great, great cat day. In fact, if I hadn't been reminded that it's cat day, I wouldn't have even remembered that it's Saturday. The bush speaks for itself today, guys. All I can say is thank you to the leopards. Thank you for your questions and your comments, and of course, coming over to watch us. Now we just need her to soar, to say good night from us all. No, it's just going to be me saying bye-bye and see you in the morning.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to a glorious sunrise here from the low veld of South Africa. It's probably about 18 degrees